Hello, gentle viewers, and welcome to another episode of Alistair Reviews It. And today I'm going to be doing my January TBR, otherwise known as my Leftover TBR. So I had a really good reading year, and I got through a lot of good books. But I also realized my limitations when it comes to being a reader. I cannot start or read more than 3 books at the same time, and they have to be slightly different for me not to confuse the plot points. And I can't put down a book and then think that I'm gonna go back to it because I'll put it down and I'll put it down even if I'm really enjoying it. And so my TBR for January is just a cleanup TBR. I'm cleaning up the books that I should have finished and will finish now. Starting with The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan. This is the second book in no, sorry. This is the third book in the Wheel of Time series. So what happened is this is actually pretty good. So this is classic fantasy, and I'm trying to get into more classic fantasy. And the series is actually picking up a little bit more. It was picking up at the end of book 2 and into book 1, but this book that I have right now fell apart. And I got the Kindle version, and once it fell apart, I just stopped reading. And I think I'm going to continue reading it and finish it up and actually do a really good review. I did the reviews for book 1 and 2. I'll link them below if anybody wants to check them out or read along with me. You have plenty of time. Next, I have Will White, Unsold Cradle Volume 1, and Unsold, like Soul, Unsold Cradle Volume 1. And I just started this one. I actually just got this one. I put down another book to read this one, but I'm going to finish this one. I'm just going to go ahead and finish it. It's like 300 pages, so it should be pretty easy. And this is actually pretty good fantasy. This reminds me of Naruto. Honestly, reading this reminds me of Naruto. That's what I'm getting, a shonen vibe while reading this, and I've heard a lot of people really praise this book, and so far I'm actually really liking it. So I have Now I Rise. This is the second book in the Conqueror saga that starts with Anti Darken. It's a historical retelling of Vlad the Impaler, but it's gender bent. So Vlad the Impaler is now a woman, and she needs to be able to accomplish the same things while being constrained to being a woman in a society where women aren't seen as warriors. I'm partway through this now, and I think I'm probably going to finish this pretty soon. Next, I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I started in November and put down and didn't pick up back up. I actually put this down to read Fires of Vengeance, which is another book we have. But The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue it's set in our world, but in the last couple hundred years, this French lady, Addie, made a deal with the devil where she has an immortal life. The only issue with that is that she cannot leave anything of substance in the life. When she meets somebody and she leaves, they immediately forget her. When she writes something down, it goes away. She cannot leave anything in this life, and it's like a blessing and a curse. So I can't wait to finish this book. Next, I have Legend Born by Tracy Dion. I started this book a bit ago. I started it right after I finished Black Sun, and then I put it down. I left it in my car, and my car was somewhere else, so I started another book. See these problems that I'm having? And at first, I wasn't really liking this book. It seemed very cliche, and some parts of it are a little cliche, but it had a turning point for me before I put it down, where it actually started to get pretty good, and I'm excited to finish it. This is an urban fantasy set within our time, and the main character goes to a preparatory school for USC, for the University of South Carolina, and she gets involved with this secret society that harkens back to Arthurian times, and they have their own power sets and stuff like that. And I think she might have a connection to them besides this, but we haven't gotten farther into it. Yeah, it's pretty good. Next, I have this has been on my TBR like for 3 months. Crescent City, The House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Again, I got to a really good point in this book, and I stopped it because I picked up Fires of Vengeance, which is my next one, and I really want to go back to it. I really want to go back to it and do a full review of this book. But this is Sarah J. Maas's first adult fantasy. It actually won the award for Best Fantasy of 2020 from Goodreads based on votes, and I'm really curious to see whether it lives up to that based on other books I read on that list. This follows a half fae. I don't know much about it except that it follows a half fae who had. There was a serious, terrible murder, and it's kind of urbanish at the same time. It's kind of an urban fantasy at the same time, but there was a terrible murder, and she was slightly involved, and she's a half fae, and I'm very excited to see where this is going. But I also know that there's going to be some steamy romance in this, and usually I am not on board for that, but I have braced myself, and I've decided to try to like really enjoy it, even though I don't usually enjoy it. I'm just going to try to really enjoy it. And then lastly, but definitely not leastly, is Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter. So this is my second most look forward to book of 2020, and I got it. And then unfortunately, this one came out the week after, so I only got like almost halfway through it and then put it down. But it was at a point in the book where I was having anxiety about what was going on in the book, and so it kind of made me step away and not go back to it. I have a review for the first book, but this is the second book in The Burning, and it follows a protagonist, Tao, who is somebody who's at the bottom of this caste system. This is an African-inspired epic fantasy, and he seeks revenge against wrongdoing against him and his family. And this is the second book. And I heard that it gets a lot more nuanced in this book, and I really loved the first book. It was on my top 10 books of 2020. I believe it was number 3. I think it was my third book, my top 3 book of 2020. I'll leave that video below too for you guys to check out. But that's it for my Leftover TBR. I'm really trying to clean up this year, trying to get through these books. You know, just be fearless. You know, not let my anxiety get a hold of me. And after this, I am going to read Dark Age by Pierce Brown. I'm going to do it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I put it off for too long. And these are going to set me up to be able to emotionally handle that. Again, I have a new Discord. The link is down below. I'm still learning how to do all the Discordy things. Please join me and have a great time, gentle viewers. Hasta luego. Bye.